yeah, no, thanks for sharing that, man. And it seems like, and I always come from that perspective, traveling, a traveling man, a traveling family. You get so much enlightenment and education just through, not being on the block, not being on on the spot and getting out. And the earlier you can have those experiences, obviously gives testimony to, your eyes, your eyes opening, to horizons that other people won't be, won't have that view or have that perspective. So it brings me back to the point where you're saying you like around 16 years old, you tried mushrooms for the first time. Like for me, myself, and I didn't get to delve into the psychedelic world till I was in my 30s, pretty much because in my community, it was a taboo subject. These things were around, but it wasn't something that, I personally was engaging in. And nobody around me was, and the guys that were considered the weird, hippie, not people in my circle kind of people. So with that said, at an earlier, well, for you being in 16, so that's when I found most of the people that I was around who were delving into that, who we felt sorry for, they were delving into that age where, around 16, school age, 15, 16. So what opened you up to that experience at that, what I would consider a younger age where you felt, it's time to delve into trying psychedelic mushrooms?
All right. So I always felt a comfort and connection with my grandparents because whenever I was born, my mom was still in school and my dad was moved to New York City to recruit people in the military. He was in the army. So my dad wasn't around, my mom was in school, and I was living with my grandparents, and they made me feel really comfortable. And my grandfather was around until I was in middle school. I was like 12, 13 was the last time I was interacting with him. He was dying of cancer. And I was like, he just was dying, and it was really hard to watch that happen. And he was dying, and he's sick with a lot of things, but after he died, my dad was in Afghanistan, and he had split up with my stepmom, and it was a really weird time, and I was by myself a lot. And I wanted to find a connection with somebody. I felt like I was missing that comfort in my life. I didn't have the connection to be able to talk with somebody. Like, I didn't have a really good connection with my parents at that time. So I wanted to find a girlfriend. I wanted to have somebody to talk to. I was like 15 years old or something. And I met Lydia, my kid's mom. She was into cannabis then. She hung out with the kids that were using cannabis then.
Right.
And I knew if I wanted to hang out with them, I needed to know about it. So I looked up on the internet, and the first thing I saw was that it helped people that were dying of cancer, and it helped people that are sick. And I was like, what? My favorite person in the whole world just died, and he was so uncomfortable, and he couldn't even talk anymore, and couldn't even take care of himself. And there's something that could give this man a little bit of dignity and a little bit of comfort in the end of his life. And I had to watch that, and it was it made me think that everything because people told me it would kill me if I used cannabis. When I was little. People told me it was so bad for me. And I was like, what? It helped somebody? And I didn't know. And then I started thinking everything was wrong. I never consumed anything. I never drank alcohol. I never did smoked a cigarette. I never did anything at that time. I just ate sugar. That was it. And I was tripping. I off nothing. Everything looked different after I knew that. After I knew that cannabis was good for you, I was a Catholic boy. I went to school. I did all of the Christian, baptism, all of the levels of whatever that you do at that age. And I went and told the weird guy in the box my sins and all the weird things in my head that I didn't need to be sharing with nobody, all that stuff. And I started looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, yo, I'm a biological organism. I was like, yo, I'm like an animal or something. I was like, I'm not what I thought I was. Cause I was told that I'm not supposed to. What's up? Oh no. All right. I did too. No, I did too. We got to bounce. Yeah, I was told that I was that evolution wasn't real and all that kind of stuff. So I started to think everything. I started to think everything was a lie that I was told to believe. And then I tried cannabis first. And then when I tried cannabis, it made me feel like I was smarter. It made me feel like I was really smart. And I couldn't tell anybody that because everybody thought that it was bad for you. Even the people that were using it, they thought that they were doing drugs. And I was like, this is not drugs. This is a plant. and this plant makes me feel smart, and this plant has been here forever, and we said it's drugs. Like we made it be this. It wasn't this until we said it was. And I remember when I was 16, I was sitting on my bed. I started skipping school, and my parents thought I was like, it was all bad stuff.
Yeah.
But there was nobody around to like tell. My mom was living in Taiwan and my dad was in Afghanistan, and my stepmom was working like 30, 40 minutes away. So there was a lot of time I was by myself. And I would be sitting there skipping school, and I would be smoking weed, and I'll be sitting there like, why do I have to be part of this? This is the first time in human history that I can't just run away and be somewhere, just sitting on a hill somewhere, eating some fruit and thinking about what I want to do in my life. Like, why do I have to be thinking that I have to go to college in a couple years and have to go to school every day? I don't have any time to think about anything. But when I can eat and sit in my bedroom, I can think about some stuff for the first time since I was a little boy, since I was like 4 or 5 years old. I haven't been able to sit and think. So I'm just like, all right, cool. This is really awesome. And then after I found out that like cannabis wasn't bad for me, I started being interested in more of things that were from nature that could help me to like slow down and be in the moment. And then I found mushrooms, and like, there's like, there's this band called the Grateful Dead that traveled around the United States, and wherever they traveled, there was always psychedelics around them. And there's a group of people around this area that have been hosting a festival, which I don't want to put them on blast if they don't want to be on blast, but there's a group of people, and they're part of this family around here that hosts a festival. And because of that festival, there was always those substances around this area, and so it was easy for kids to get access to it. Like, and there was kids that I knew that knew how to get it, and I got some. And as soon as I ate the mushrooms, it was just like, it was like really weird for me at first, because the mushrooms made it show me like a lot of at first the mushrooms showed me like a lot of like Nickelodeon and Disney stuff like that I watched on television when I was little. It wasn't like crazy, but it was like really wonky visuals at first, and it was pushing a lot of things I built up in my head out of it at first. And right after I tried the mushrooms, I couldn't understand it, but I could understand cannabis. And because I couldn't understand the mushrooms, I wasn't super interested at first. And then somebody gave me liquid LSD. And as soon as I tried the liquid LSD, then everything was right in the moment. I was right in the moment. My consciousness was like right there. Like, I had never been so present in my whole life. And I knew exactly what I wanted. I could see through time, like I could see through space. Like, it was like time didn't move forward anymore. Like, whenever I would smoke weed a little bit, time would go slower a little bit, and I felt like I could think more in less time. But like, whenever I was on acid, like, I was like, oh shit, time is like, your perspective of time is like all a matter of your consciousness. And like, I was able to just plan out my whole freaking next 10 years in like a matter of 6 hours on this substance. And I was like, all right. And then I was like, I have to know how to integrate this into my body. I'm not supposed to be doing this at parties and at festivals. I need to learn how to be healthy first, because my body's all messed up from eating a bunch of crappy food and watching a bunch of crazy television and being exposed to porn and sex, drugs, rock and roll, crazy stuff in the United States. Like, all of that stuff, I had to heal my mind and my body first. So I stayed in my house, and I would do it and meditate, and I would do it and read books of esoteric knowledge of all of the things that the last time the humans were really conscious with, when they built all the pyramids and shit. I was reading that stuff to catch myself up. I was like, what have humans been doing on this planet since they've been on this planet? Like, what has consciousness done on this planet since it's been on this planet? And I was like, okay, now I'm all caught up with where consciousness has been on this planet. And I was like, now it's time to engage and just make sure that I mature properly. And then I started to get afraid that I was going to lose my identity, because I started to realize that everything is one, and there's like a whole freaking conscious thing going on in the universe. And I was like, oh, if I participate in this, am I going to like lose my identity? Am I going to not have any ego because I'm just part of nature, because I'm not going to be trying to be in control of my life anymore? And I got afraid of it. And so for 3 years, I got punished for breaking the systems that I had built to try and play God and create a life for myself. And I got into a lot of trouble and ruined a lot of relationships and had a really hard time, and had to go through 3 years and a couple months of just hell on earth. And I just got back, like in October, my consciousness, I just got back. And it's been a crazy ride.